MAGA Congresswoman Victoria Sparz has just been arrested in the middle of her re-election campaign. And the reason why is just super funny. Now we'll get into that in a second, but Victoria Sparz is just one of those Congress people that just sort of go unnoticed and nobody really remembers that they're there. And we haven't really seen her too much in the news, but I think that's for good reason. Because she tends to just sort of ramble on, sort of similar to Marjorie Taylor Greene, but Marjorie Taylor Greene sounds confident but crazy, whereas Victoria Sparz just sort of sounds like she doesn't have any idea what she's talking about and ends up just feeling confused and confusing everyone around her. I mean, just take a look at this clip of her questioning Ben Shapiro. She just like rambles on for a few minutes before actually getting to the question.
That's control of means of production, centralized power. And now with centralizing power in Washington, D.C., by controlling means in production, maybe not in the form, but in the essence, by using financial system, by using UN climate agenda and CSG, which is very vague disclosure, by using global organization to coerce CEOs and businesses, to be able to intimidate, to sign on to something actually could be against the interests of their shareholders. This is very dangerous, what we have right now, creating the collusion of business and government. And what my question is, as an American congresswoman that have to protect American public interest and our investors, so I have a question for Mr. Shapiro. Don't you think, if these companies actually sign on to these initiatives of global agenda initiatives, that could be actually, this unusual collaboration could be actually harmful to shareholders because they can exclude, I think your organization, Daily, actually, this is your organization, Mr. Jewell, put Daily Wire on a global high-risk exclusion list, categorizes conspiracy theory interest in only conservative groups on that list. Kind of very, very interesting. But don't you think if we're going to include everyone who has a different views, like conservative views in our country, that's a risk that companies, publicly traded companies, should actually disclose. I think SEC need to tell them so American investors know, do they want to invest in all of these global initiatives and know that their pension funds are investing in these initiatives? Don't you think that is transparency that American public deserves, and actually protect them, because they might make your country, board-go company bankrupt because they now also colluded to take down boards using some illegal tools, but very interested in passive investment to become an active shareholder and against interests of the company. This is a pretty organized, very clever organized cartel. I agree. It never existed before. This is a very dangerous cartel to actually intimidate Americans and go after our First Amendment rights and freedom of speech and using money to do that. So I have, a little bit that minute remaining. So I would like Mr. Shapiro to tell me, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you think American people deserve at least transparency so they know where the money are going?
That is my main concern. I think the lack of transparency is extraordinary, and the question that I would have for some of my colleagues on the panel is, can they name a single conservative outlet or conservative-leaning host that they would deem to be brand safe on behalf of their advertisers?
So it makes sense that we haven't really heard much from her, and that just makes it even funnier because when she does get headlines, it's because she broke the law and is being charged with a crime. So let's take a look at some of these details here. U.S. Representative Sparz officially charged after bringing gun to Washington, D.C. airport. That's right, she brought a gun to the airport. So let's go ahead and read through this here. Representative Victoria Sparz, Indiana District 5, has officially been charged in Virginia after she reportedly brought a gun into an airport in the Washington, D.C. area. Sparz has been charged with carrying a weapon in an airport terminal, which is a Class 1 misdemeanor, in relation to an incident at the Dulles International Airport in late June. Here is the gun in question, so we can get a good look at what gun she was carrying into the airport. And this was found in her carry-on bag by TSA agents in the airport on June 28th. And under a portion of the state's gun laws, it is illegal to carry a gun or weapon inside an airport terminal. Now, Sparz's team had to come out with a statement, and they said she accidentally carried an empty handgun in her suitcase. How you accidentally carry an empty handgun is beyond me. And the team said that she was issued a citation and just went on her flight. And of course, because she's a member of Congress, nothing actually serious happened here. Then here it's saying that she was originally not planning to run for re-election, but recently announced in 2024 that actually she would. And according to the court documents, an arraignment hearing for Sparz is scheduled for 8:30 a.m. on September 20th. And this Class 1 misdemeanor is punishable up to a year in jail and a $2,500 fine. But like I said, she's a sitting member of Congress. Do we really think anything is going to happen to her? Probably not. But I think it's just kind of sad that we have members of Congress who bring guns to airports, even if it was a mistake. Who carries a handgun in their carry-on suitcase? Like, how do you not check your suitcase before packing it? Or, whatever. Like, how does this happen? I don't understand. But this whole situation gets 1,000 times funnier when you consider this clip that I'm going to show you about her ranting about owning unlimited guns or something. Like, I don't know what she's trying to say here, but it just makes this whole situation a billion times funnier. And make sure you pay attention to Merrick Garland's face, because his reaction is just priceless. Take a look at this.
So if I have as many guns as I want, in my personal collection, do you think, you have this new rule that you celebrated with your ATF director, which I think is very dangerous? Do you think there should be limitations on percentage of my collections that I should be able to sell, or time frame I can hold a gun? Like, I could buy 10 guns and try to shoot them in the range, they're not good, and I went and sold them. Should be there any limitations on the time frame or percentage of how much of my collections I can replace?
There's an exception in the statute for sales from personal collections.
So I can do as many. I can sell 500 guns, so it shouldn't be a problem, right? If it happens that it's, I just want to replace.
All I can say is there's an exception in the statute and the regulations with respect to sales from personal collections. I don't know the answer to the question about percentages.
Well, it would be good, because American people would like to know the answer, because this creates a lot of dangers, and we'll follow up with the latter, because, this is called destroy people's life, and we already had this situation that happened in Arkansas. But then on the first...
So it's just sort of ironic and hilarious that the Congresswoman who was ranting about owning unlimited guns got caught carrying a gun in the airport. Regardless of if it was an accident or not, you would think that they would care a little bit more if they knew that they were carrying a gun around. And this is just the level of stupid that we tend to expect with the Republican Party. And I mean, we see it all of the time with like Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like that, but it just goes to show you that even people who, maybe you didn't even realize was in Congress, Victoria Sparz, she is a very similar level of crazy as well. So it's not just a few individuals that make themselves loud. These crazy people are all throughout the Republican Party.